What's going on, YouTube? BX Polymath here with another video, and today I'll be talking to you guys about the top 5 tips I wish I knew when I first started riding. So we'll get right into it, guys. Anyway, so yeah, so let's make believe you just got out the MSF course, you're endorsed to get your license, and now you just have your license, right? You don't even have a bike yet, no gear, no nothing. You just got your license, right? So what do you do? Let's stop real quick. So what do you do, right? So step 1, right? And trust me, this one is crucial because I fucked up real bad with this one, right? So tip number 1 would be get the bike, right? So get a bike that you actually are gonna like and you're going to enjoy riding, right? What do I mean by that, right? So, man, plain and simple, if you've never ridden a cruiser before, or if you've never ridden a sport bike before, just try that shit out, right? Go to the dealer and fucking test drive that shit, right? And then get a feel for what you kind of want to ride. You kind of know what you want to get, right? But, you know, don't necessarily, you know, you don't have to go and get your dream bike from the beginning, right? But also, don't get a bike that you're gonna fucking hate, you know? And ultimately, that's kind of what happened with this bike. Not that I hate this bike, but I was really going for a Sportster, right? Harley Sportster. That's what I really wanted to get, you know? And I opted to get this one because shit, the deal was freaking amazing, right? It was really cheap to get it, but it wasn't so cheap that I couldn't have gotten the Sportster, right? It wasn't dramatic, it was just cheaper, you know? But I'm like, fuck it, I'll save a few you know, like 20 something or $30 every month, you know, fine, whatever, because I financed this bike. But ultimately, like, I'm still feeling for that Sportster, you know, and then eventually get a Dyna, like, you know. So this is not the bike I wanted to get from the get-go, right? Like, and of course, it's not my dream bike either, but still, get something you're gonna fucking like riding, you know? Worst thing is, you get on the bike and you're like, ah, shit, you know? So, save your money and get the bike that you really want. Not your dream bike, but a bike that at least you tolerate, right? So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is along those lines, right? So this is gonna save you a lot of money. And again, I fucked up pretty bad with this one too. Is once you have your bike, you know, get fucking gear that's gonna last you and that's adequate for whatever type of riding you're gonna do. Like, don't be a cheap ass and get the fucking, you know, like the cheap gloves or whatever, you know, or the cheap helmet. Because guess what, in the long run, that's gonna fucking cost you more, right? So I bought my first helmet I bought, and I bought this shit while I was taking a course. It was like 80 bucks on eBay, whatever. It was a cheap ass fucking helmet, you know? Then I'm like, you know, a couple of days after, I'm like, damn, this shit is fucking too big, I don't really like it. Let me buy another cheap fucking helmet. So there goes $300 spent already, where those $300 I could have just bought a fucking great helmet from the beginning, you know? You know, not great, but something good from the get-go. Same thing with the fucking gloves, you know? Like, I bought these gloves. These were fucking like 20 bucks. I mean, they've lasted me, but these aren't the fucking gloves that you want to have. Like, this shit has no protection at all. So, God forbid I go down, like, oh my God, my fucking hands are gonna suffer. All right, so tip number 2 is all about getting the right gear. Stop being a fucking cheap ass, right? Get the fucking right gear the first time, you know, and stop wasting money. All right. Then tip number 3 through 5, I'm gonna go to a park real quick and show you that shit while I'm fucking stopped. All right, guys. So you got your bike, you have your gear. Now what, right? So the next step is to practice, guys. Practice. Build that confidence on the bike before you even go out for a long ride or anything. Just come to like a park like this, or I don't know, like like in the parking lot of a store or something, go behind Target and just practice, right? So what are you gonna practice, right? So that will practice is step 3. Tip number 4 or step 4 will be practice your friction zone, right? So what is the friction zone? Friction zone, and please don't quote me on this, I don't know the exact definition. All I know is that the friction zone is where you release the clutch and it engages the gear. So that moment where the clutch or the gears or whatever engage, that's the friction zone, right? So what does the friction zone look like? So let me show you. Right now I'm in neutral, right? So before you even do anything, right, let's make believe this is your first bike ever. You're just sitting on it in your parking lot or wherever the hell you're at. So just practice letting go of the clutch, and once the bike starts rolling, that's the friction zone. You see that, right? See how the bike started rolling, right? So I'm not even gonna hold this or anything, not putting no throttle on it. So just release until the bike starts rolling by itself. That's the friction zone. Just pull it back in, move back, release slowly, and then that's the friction zone. Now this is really good practice, and I wish I knew this starting day one and I practiced it, because guess what, I've started my bike 3 times already, and one of the main reasons is the friction zone, right? So this is what happens when you release the clutch too quick. You see that, right? Just jerked forward, shuts off, stall, right? So I did that from a stop, and you saw the jerking motion. Imagine you're in freaking traffic, you're on a light, and you do that. Somebody comes behind you and boom, slams right into your shit, right? Because obviously you're right in the freaking middle. So you gotta be very, very careful. So this is why practicing that is really important, right? So that was step number 4. Now step 5, we're taking it a bit further, right? So step 5 consists of practicing your throttle control, right? So holding the clutch in, you know what, you don't even need to be in first gear. You could be in neutral while doing this. Fuck, this bike is really hard to find neutral. Anyways, when you're in neutral, it's good to practice, right? So just slightly turning the throttle so you can feel that, right? And hold it there for a couple seconds, right? So this is good practice because, again, believe it or not, when I first started riding, I was coming into a highway from a stop, and these cars are fucking flying 60, 70 miles, no, not even 70, but like 50, 60 miles per hour. So I'm thinking, shit, I gotta speed up quick. So guess what I did? I released the clutch and I pulled back hard, and fucking the bike went up, and I did a wheelie without even freaking knowing. I think I died like 3 times at that moment. Like, I was so freaking scared, man. And practicing your throttle is gonna help with that, right? So the more you practice throttle control and your friction zone, I'm telling you, man, you're not gonna have any issues when it comes to riding in the streets or riding wherever the fuck you're gonna go, right? So that was the last step. And make sure you really practice. And again, like, you can practice it in neutral, or you can practice your throttle control and your friction zone at the same time, right? So you do the throttle a little bit, and then you release the clutch, and then you start moving, boom, then stop that again, and then keep doing that over and over and over again until it becomes second nature. And that's what's gonna be crucial to your success in the road, and you won't get into trouble, and you'll be good to go. All right, guys? So anyways, thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate it, guys. So make sure you like it, share it, and then subscribe to my channel. Thanks, guys.